How you doing, everybody? My name is Javier Mackey. You're with looking over strange terrain, and I'm a retired Special Forces Green Beret. I joined the Army in 1998. Went to basic training at Fort Jackson. From Fort Jackson, I went to my advanced individual training over at um, Fort Gordon. I was there for roughly about 9 months, depending on what time frame I remember. It was like 9 months, 9 to 10 months. There, I was trained as a satellite systems communi- a satellite communication systems specialist. Did that for uh, so upon completion there. Once I graduated my advanced individual training, went straight to Fort Campbell. That was my first assignment, home of the 101st Airborne Division Air Assault, with orders to go to jump school. I was told over at when I was at Fort Gordon that once I got to Fort Campbell, that because I was going to an air assault unit, they'll send me to air assault school or airborne school once I completed air assault school. So I just, as a young private, pack up my stuff. And I ended up not being the case, but packed up my gear, flew to Fort Campbell, got there, reported, and once I reported, they were like, "WTF? What is this private doing here, and why isn't he at airborne school?" Well, the way the Army works is once you complete basic training, and if you have airborne in your contract, what happens next is you go to airborne school. And upon completion of airborne school, you get your assignment to where you're going to go. Well, I kind of gamed it a little bit. I knew this. I played dumb when I got my orders at Fort Gordon. I didn't say anything about it. Why? Because I wanted air assault school as well on top of air assault or airborne school. So I go to air assault school, completed, had a great time. It was one of those instances where I felt like, well, yeah, this is why I joined the Army. And then I go to airborne school, and about this time, I am married. I had gone to Fort Campbell, been there for a few months, met my wife, got married, and now we're living in an apartment. I kiss her goodbye, go to airborne school for a month, and that's how our marriage started. I completed airborne school, came back to Fort Campbell with orders to go to Fort Bragg. Now, originally I had orders to go to Germany, but those got canceled. Then they were like, "Hey, we're going to send you to Korea." But then I had airborne, and they were like, "No, we're going to send you to Bragg. That's where they need you." So, pack up my pregnant wife. We hop in our cars and we drive to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And this is where we spend the next 16 years of our lives together, raising our children, buying homes. And this is this very same place where my career took a trajectory that I can only that I only read about in books. So this is around 2000, the year 2000. Y2K is kicked off. We got all these crazy things going on in the world, and it was 2001. So I really enjoyed the 82nd. First, let's just talk about the 82nd. 82nd Airborne, like the 101st, is one of the divisions in the 18th Airborne Corps. One of many divisions in the 18th Airborne Corps that are ready to deployable at any given time within 18 hours. So, that being said, there's a lot of Kool-Aid being drank in the 82nd during this time period. That we are America's shock troops, that we are the ones that are going to go out and punch the enemy in the face the moment something bad happens in the world. And I was totally on board with that. As a young private doing communications in an airborne unit, I thought I was pretty unstoppable, and I thought I was in a pretty elite unit. Now, don't get me wrong, the 82nd Airborne is pretty badass, but I really enjoyed the 101st. And to be honest, if I had to compare the two, 101st is better. But that's besides the point. So I'm in the 82nd for about I don't know, 16 months when 9/11 happens. Uh, I was in one of my soldiers' rooms. We were shot. One of my fellow specialists' rooms. I don't want to call him my soldier because I was his team leader, but at the end of the day, we were the same rank. But anyway, we were shining our boots, getting our uniform squared away. I can't remember what day of the week it was, but I do know every day in a Pogue unit is motor pool day. So I was going to go. We were just getting ready to get our uniform squared away for our in-ranks inspection, and then we were off to the motor pool for the rest of the day, getting our uniforms all messed up for no reason whatsoever. But anyway, while we're sitting there shining our boots and jaw jacking, we were watching Fox News, and that's when we noticed the first plane hit. And well, the plane already hit, and they were just broadcasting that a plane has struck the World Trade Center. Well, as we're sitting there watching it, in my mind, Y2K, which was a computer glitch that would have reset the world if on the year 2000, because for whatever reason, when they designed computers, they only designed them to go up to the year 2000. We didn't know what was going to happen after that. And so Y2K was the result of mishaps due to this computer programming. I don't know. I don't understand computers, but at the time period, that was the big belief. So here it is in 2001. I'm thinking, well, Y2K is just a little, a day late and a dollar short. And now we got planes crashing into the buildings, falling out of the sky. What ended up happening was, we all know terrorist attacks. And then by that time, the second plane hit. And we were all kind of spun up and put on alert. And we were pretty much locked down. We were on that 18-hour deployment cycle where we just have to be ready at a moment's notice to be able to deploy anywhere in the world in 18 hours. And all our communications was shut off from our families, and our families had no idea what the hell was going on. Fast forward, we survived. We survived. We ended up not going anywhere. And so, that being said, we were packing up our stuff at the motor pool, and this is like a day or two later after the events of 9/11 happened. And just to paint a picture, not a plane in the sky was flying. There was no helicopters flying around Fort Bragg. There were no airplanes taking off out of Pope Army Airfield. Some property, Air Force property that was co-located on Fort Bragg. Nothing. Only birds and blue skies and a few scattered clouds and rain. And we were in a motor pool, and we were putting away our gear, and we were just giving our orders to stand down, and we were just going to go home and spend the rest of the weekend with our families when we heard the C-17s out at Pope Army Airfield spin up and take off. My platoon, I was standing next to my platoon sergeant at the time, and I looked at him. I said, who do you suppose is on that airplane right now? And he was like, maybe some Special Forces guys, some Task Force Delta guys, who knows? And I was like, well, the 82nd's not on them. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to go to selection. At that time, I only had, limited knowledge of what Special Forces assessment and selection was all about. But I do know once you're selected, if you were selected, you were on your path to becoming a Special Forces Green Beret, and you definitely on the path of not having to deal with the BS that normally goes on in the Army. So that being said, I dropped my packet sometime in October, and by that November, I was in the next selection course. So I had gone through selection in November, December timeframe. I want to say that I was in selection during Thanksgiving, but I could be wrong on that. But at the end of that selection course, I had been selected, and I was slotted to enter into the Special Forces qualification course that following January. But there were a few things I had to do before I got to that point, or en route to that point, was I had to go to my primary leadership development course, which was known at the time as PLDC, and today I believe it's known as the Warrior Leaders Course, or the Basic Leaders Course. And then you have your other NCO Academy schools that we had to knock out before we actually started the actual Q course. But at the time, the Q course for me was small unit tactics, MOS, MOS, Robin Sage, language school, and SEER school. So the reason why I said it the way I did was because I recycled SUT twice or once, passed SUT, went into the MOS phase, and I got recycled twice out of the communication sergeant course over some BS. And at the end of the day, it was literally BS. When you talk, and that's a story for another time. But anyway, I went through the Special Forces Communication Sergeant course. That's what I was originally selected for. And then once I recycled that, and due to the circumstances that led up to those recycles, I was placed into the 18 Charlie course, which is the Special Forces Engineer Sergeant's course. So I completed that and went on to Robin Sage. Now this is where I had a legit hiccup. I just wasn't ready to move on, and I repeated Robin Sage to class after that. Language school was pretty cut and dry. I had to do a little extra training for that. French was a little bit harder, and then I had a language school teacher that was just all over the place. But upon completing language school, you go to SEER school, and once you complete SEER school, you go off to group. I was assigned to 3rd Special Forces Group, and I showed up in 2005. And by the time I got to the 3rd group, all my buddies and friends that I was in the Q course with deployed 1 to 2 times before I even got there. But during that time period, I got to see my daughter born and a few other major life experiences that, had I not had things been different, I would not have had an opportunity to experience. But I was assigned to 3rd Group, 3rd Battalion, Alpha Company, and I was assigned to Operational Detachment Alpha 372. And at the time, Special Forces ODAs, or Operational Detachment Alphas, had 3 numbers. There was the group assignment. The battalion was either, the number that told you both the battalion and the company, and then the last letter or the last number designated what type of team you were. And I'll go over that in a different episode. But anyway, you move along. So now I'm on a team, and life on the team was great. It was a definite change of pace. I was glad to have the stressors of the Q course off my back. Um, I was glad that I was able to, and I'm using this term. Uh, I'm not using this term lightly, but you had an opportunity to kind of relax and kind of focus now on your job, focus now on what the mission is, learning your mission, learning the guys, and so forth. So it was cool. This was the best, one of the funnest parts of my career because I was able to rebrand myself from the Q course because I kind of went, because of the recycles. I admit there was some, my confidence was shot, but I hung in there. And by the time I got into Robin Sage and with all the setbacks I had, I knew there was a reason for it all, but it hadn't, it hadn't presented itself just yet. And I'll get to more of that later and possibly in a different episode. But anyway, so with all those setbacks, I got to the team really. I had more confidence on the team than I think I would have had if I had just gone straight through. Because I knew I had gone to the team with a little extra training in each of the phases, but I had knew my job. I knew what the mission of Special Forces was, and now there was other things I needed to focus on. That I didn't have to play catch up on had I not gotten recycled those few times. So I got to the team, and at the time, so Special Forces ODA is made up of 12 guys. You have a captain, you have a team sergeant who's a master sergeant, you have a warrant officer, and you have a fox. Those are the three single MOSs that pretty much run the team. The rest of the guys are filler. We're all filler, but we're really good at what we do. And when I say filler, I don't say it lightly. So you have two weapons sergeants, two engineer sergeants, two communication sergeants, and two medical sergeants or medics. And we all have our MOS functions, and we also have some administrative functions. For instance, all the weapons sergeants are part of mission. They help develop mission planning, and the other aspect they run is training. They run and facilitate and plan training. That, and when I say training, that's coordinating use of ranges, coordinating issue of ammo, drawing weapons from the weapons locker, along with ordering parts for those weapons. And then you have the Charlie, the 18 Charlie, the engineer sergeant. He's kind of like the bitch of the team. His job is all of the logistics. And at the end of the day, the 18 Charlie, yeah, they make things go boom. But at the end of the day, all we are is just a glorified supply sergeant. But it's a fun job. I had a great time doing it. And if I had any other job, I probably would have lost my place on the team because I would have been so bored. But I would say that Charlie is probably the most utilized person on the team outside of the those in leadership. The next you have the 18 Delta, the medical sergeants. Uh, these guys can be really busy when they're not doing team stuff. They're working on their certifications and staying on top of that. Excuse me. And but their big job is awards and administrative processing, administrative data. That's the big, outside of medicine, they're like the team secretary, so to speak, but not really. And then you have your 18 echoes. Your 18 echoes are your communication sergeants. everybody, once they're primarily responsible for communications. They're good at what they do, and they end up getting a bunch of other stuff piled on them, like being, they might go to joint fire school, or they might even end up getting an opportunity to go to a joint terminal control attack controller course to get to become a JTAC. And there's a bunch of other schools they have an opportunity to do that deals with networking and hacking or in cybersecurity, things of that nature. Then you have your going into the leadership realm. You have your starting off, you have your 18 Fox, he's your intelligence sergeant. And then, he's, his big thing is helping paint the picture of what the battle space looks like, who are the major players, how they, what their influences are, both internally and externally. And then you have the warrant officer, and his job is he is the technical expert in all things dealing with special operations. I'm just going to leave it at that. At the end of the day, we really don't know what warrants do, and I don't know what our warrants did other than look cool. But then you have your team sergeant. He manages all the personalities on the team. He is overall in charge of the team. And then you have the captain, who is summer help. I mean, he's going to be there for 2 years and he's going to leave. And guess what? The rest of us are going to be on the team partying hard. But anyway, so that's your operational detachment alpha. I got sent to my team. And then during that first year, I was in school after school after school. And if I wasn't in school, I was in the gym. And if I wasn't in the gym, I was in the team room doing my job. And I was busy. Let me put it to you this way. I can probably count on one hand the number of times I visited the motor pool in SF. And when I was in the regular Army, that was my place of duty almost every day, only because that's where all our communication equipment was stored. That being said, I'm pretty sure I can bet that I can count on one hand the number of times I visited a motor pool for motor pool stuff as a Green Beret. Enough of that. So, my third group was kind of in a special situation. Now, third group area specialties is supposed to be Africa. My battalion was more of East Africa. All right, so my particular area specialties was supposed to be East Africa, but we spent almost. Let me put it. Long story short, I never been to Africa. I was supposed to go, but we never went. So that being said, we spent I spent the entirety of my deployments in Central Asia, that being Afghanistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan, but mostly in Afghanistan. I did do one deployment in Jordan for a few months, but that's about it. That's about the extent of it. I'm here to say that I'm not. I mean, yeah, I got to operate during my operational time, which was between 2005 and 2015. I deployed 9 to 10 times to either Afghanistan, Kyrgyzstan, or Tajikistan. I did some cool missions. Most of the time, to be honest with you, life in SF is pretty bland, pretty vanilla. But when it gets spicy really quick, fast, in a hurry. But this is who I am. This is what looking over strange terrain I want to is all about. It's about talk about our veteran experiences, encapsulating their time, why we served, what we're doing now, what brought us into it, what's what kept us in and into the fight for so many years, and at the end of the day, where's it going to take us? And I want to explore that uh, with this podcast, and until I can't go any further. I'm not the best speaker when it comes to talking on the interwebs. I hate the way my voice sounds, but you know what? This is one of those things you got to get out of your comfort zone, work, seek to improve yourself, and face difficult challenges that make you feel uncomfortable. And that's what I'm going to do by doing this. I know I've been posting a lot of material on my travels with my family over the years. Uh, and that was all in preparation for this right here. But I wanted to get the right equipment. I want to make sure I had the right programming. I want to make sure I had everything set up so that when we enter in 2025, I can start off with guests coming on and we can start talking about our deployments, our life in the military, leadership challenges, fun times, cool stories, cool missions, and the like. So smash that like button. Keep coming back for more. Uh, Also subscribe and share this with on your friends. With your friends, you can find me on X under Looking Over, and then I'm on Facebook as Javier Mackey. I just pretty much post pictures of me and my family on there, and I'm on Instagram at Looking Over Strange Terrain. So there you have it, and that's all I have until next time, which will probably be today or tomorrow or whenever. I'm going to be posting. We're going to be talking about preparation for Special Forces assessment and selection and mindset on that. All right. Well, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye.